So now we're going to talk about the thigh. And the first thing you do when you look at a model is determine your orientation. And so this is your anterior surface, this is your posterior surface, here's the medial surface, and here's the lateral surface. Okay, and so the first muscle to talk about, we can talk about is this guy here called the sartorius. It's running from the top all the way down to the knee, and it's crossing the thigh. All right, and then next we can talk about your quadriceps. So there's a set of 4 muscles. The first one we can talk about is the rectus femoris. He is an anterior superficial muscle. Okay, and that's this one here. Now on either side of the rectus femoris you have the vastus medialis on the medial side and the vastus lateralis on the lateral side. And so if we turn and look at that vastus lateralis for a second, it is a pretty wide muscle, and it's going to pop out on either side of the iliotibial band. So this band is just running over the vastus lateralis, and you can see the vastus lateralis on both sides peeking out from under that iliotibial band. So now if we take this rectus femoris off, we'll see your 4th quadricep, which is your vastus intermedius. And that's this guy in here. Okay. So going back to the iliotibial band, it's this large tendon running down to the knee. And this is your tensor fascia lata, right? And it's going to connect to your IT band. All right. And so this is a good one to help you if you're trying to figure out what is lateral and what is medial. The iliotibial band is on the lateral side. And if we come around to the medial side, we see the sartorius crossing again. You see your vastus medialis. And then you're seeing 2 other muscles here. You're seeing the adductor longus that's peeking out, and it'll go deep, it'll dive deep underneath these muscles to attach to the femur, and the adductor magnus. So the adductor magnus actually wraps around from this side, and it goes all the way to the back, and it's a huge muscle that kind of wraps the thigh, but most of it is buried underneath other muscles. All right, and so if we take the sartorius off, you can see a little bit more of the adductor there. All right, the next one we'll talk about is the gracilis. Okay, so this guy is the gracilis, and it is on the medial surface. It's a good one to find if you're having trouble deciding if you're medial or lateral. The gracilis is this very straight muscle that is medial. And if we come around to the back, moving around to the side, back, we'll see another part of the adductor magnus. So it's wrapping around over to here, and it's being covered up by the gracilis and several of the other muscles. And if we keep moving, all right, now let's talk about your glutes. You have 3 of them, a maximus, a medius, and a minimus, but we're not asking you to identify the minimus. This large superficial muscle is your gluteus maximus. And if we take the gluteus maximus off, we'll be able to see your gluteus medius. And the gluteus medius sticks up a little bit above the gluteus maximus as well. And then right underneath the gluteus medius is your piriformis. And so this is going to run from the greater trochanter over to your sacrum. So imagine you had a sacrum right in here, and your piriformis would connect. Now we can talk a bit about the hamstrings as well. There are 3 of them. So you've got a lateral hamstring and 2 medial hamstrings, and one of the medials is deep and the other is a little bit more superficial. So the first one we'll talk about is your biceps femoris, and that's this guy here and this guy here. So remember, biceps has two heads. This one is the long head, and this one is the short head. A lot of people want to call this a bicep, and it's not. This is the bicep. Now, and this is lateral. Remember, here's our iliotibial band. Here's our vastus lateralis here and there. So this is the lateral side. The biceps femoris is on the lateral side. And then if we move medial, there is our muscle here called the semitendinosus, right? So that's medial. And then if we take this guy off and we look beneath the semitendinosus, you'll see the semimembranosus. Right? So it's medial and it's deep, and that's your third hamstring, semimembranosus. And if we put it kind of back on, you'll notice that the semimembranosus sticks out from the semitendinosus a bit. So semitendinosus, semimembranosus, and then you'll see more of the muscle when you take it off. And then we also can see more of our adductor magnus around the back as well. So this muscle's wrapping around, and it has a very unusual shape to it, and then it comes back here as well, and that's the thigh.